So I'm here with Renaissance Manson. Let's start where did that name come from?
I started off with the name Renaissance Man, and I thought it was dope because I could do everything in music and in a lot of other things, and I'm really good at a lot of things. And of course, there's a million other Renaissance mans out there. I didn't realize that. Whenever I'd look myself up or people try to look me up, they'd find everything but me, basically. When I started Instagram, though, I used the Renaissance Manson name to begin with. I live in LA, Charles Manson. Right when I was coming up with this project in 2019, it was the 50th anniversary of Charles Manson killings. And so one day while I was sitting there reading the newspaper, I actually subscribed to the LA Times. I like to keep up with everything. Um, I thought about reading about Charles Manson. I was like, hey, Renaissance Manson, that's pretty dope. So that was my first Instagram name. And eventually it became just my overall name.
Man, Charles Manson, is an interesting figure. He was involved in music. I don't know if a lot of people know that and stuff, but
Yeah.
he actually was extorting, I think, one of the Beach Boys. You know,
Yes. Yes.
like were you a little bit
Carl.
worried?
Carl Wilson. Yeah.
Were
Yeah.
you a little
Carl
bit
Wilson.
worried though about the association with him?
I,
Because
I no, I know exactly what you're saying, man. It's like at first that's probably why I didn't go with it as my overall name. And then as soon as I latched on to the name just for everything, I started changing even my tone a little bit and getting a little darker and weirder in a sense. So I was always dark and weird to start, but yeah, it actually kind of like just egged me on in a sense to like get to go there. You know what I mean? So I realized at this point, even though some of my music is commercial in a sense, like very
right,
poppy and
yeah.
yeah, it's like I realized though in the end I'm still like an oddball horrorcore kind of niche kind of thing. You know what I mean? Not to say I couldn't get big going this route, but I am going the back route. I'm coming in through the back door, kind of. I'm not coming in through the front door, definitely.
Yeah, horrorcore, I don't really think of it being as big in California. I have met ICP and stuff and everything, and I've hung out with them in California, but I don't even necessarily see a lot of horrorcore artists necessarily touring there all the
You're
time.
right.
So,
It's Chippy. You're right. I mean, I'm a part of Funhouse Productions with Wrath of God and the real Bat Daddy and yeah, you're right. Not that much of that stuff is over here. I'm also a part of the Trenches with a whole bunch of like Bleach Boy and Lunatic Librarian, and they're more like Trash Gang, Spider Gang. So I went to a Little Darky show. Had Josiah, had a whole bunch of really good people. Lil Toe, it had Savage Gas, but it had Witch House 40K. I mean, a whole bunch, like all the best of that kind of like, like trap metal. And in the end, like I watched Lil Darky's page and he's like lighting it up all over the places you're talking about that aren't here, like just packing houses and people going crazy. At the LA show, it was like, I don't want to put down Lil Darky, but it was like half full. And I'm thinking
well,
like, how do people not know? I was up in the up deck just because I don't want to be down there anymore. I'm getting a
yeah.
little older, but like I was up there with like a lot of empty seats, and then some people up there, and
Well,
down
I feel
below was
it's so jaded in California.
yeah,
When I used to perform, I would do a lot of pay for play shows, and
yeah,
with Sean Healy, we book bands, and you'd be surprised, and stuff and everything, these really big hip hop artists and stuff and everything, people don't want to come to the show because there's so much stuff going on in Cali. There's so many
yeah.
options for entertainment. So
It's true.
uh
No, it's true. Even the teams here, like we got a women's soccer team now, and I don't think too many people go to it because like you're going to the Lakers first, you're going to the Rams first, you're going
right.
to the Kings first, you're going to the Clippers first, you're going, you know what I mean? Like there's like it's hard to break into the market over here. Definitely, man. You're right about that.
Man, you talked about having a pop influence, man, and I was listening to your music, and
Uh,
you're a credible artist, man. What I mean. Shout
Thank you.
out to Wrath of God for connecting us, man. Internet love song is straight up ear candy. I
Yeah.
was really impressed, with it sonically. You talk about the influence behind that song.
It's a trip, like I just write words all the time. On that song, I wish I did have a real story about a girlfriend dancing, catching a video of a girlfriend dancing on a stereo, but It's really just I started with the first line and went to the second line, then the third line, and then all of a sudden I realized I had a thread going on. And then so when it came to the second time around, it was like, well, let's keep that thread going. And then when it came to the third time around, it was like you try to act cynical, and then it was like, but I've got the lyrical, empirical proof that I'm a miracle, a spiritual, magical, majestical spectacle. You know what I mean? Like it just came out. You know what I mean? So it's it's that song just came out. That's kind of how my music comes out most of the time. Most of my songs aren't necessarily true, but I just get started and it goes, man. It's like it just comes natural. Like I really write stream of conscious or train of thought. Like I don't sit down and map out a song. I just start with the first word and spit it out, and I don't want to work on it again because I have more shit to do. So I just keep it the way it is, and if it's a good one, I'll make it into a song, or if it's good, but I'll make it into a post, but not a song. Or sometimes my post becomes a song, or my song becomes a post. You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of trippy.
Most definitely, man. You talk about like, being on the same label, like, as Wrath of God, who connected us for this interview. Like how
Yeah.
did the connection come about?
So when I joined the trenches, so I kind of have to owe a lot to Bleach Boy. He's an artist who I've had a couple collaborations with. He just hit me up one day like, "Hey, you want to be a part of this group called the Trenches?" He found my music, found me on Instagram. I never heard of him before, and then I became part of the Trenches, and Wrath of God was part of the Trenches along with the Real Bat Daddy. And I'm still a part of the Trenches, even though we're kind of getting a little bit like stagnant in a sense. I'm not putting down my boys. Like we got to get back on it. But they dropped out of the Trenches, and I didn't realize what they were up to. I just didn't know what happened to them. And they're like, "Hey," one day they hit me up like, "Hey, we got Funhouse Productions, and we want you to be a part of it." And I was like, "Hell yeah!" Like I mean, I like what they're doing. Of course, I mean, I'm a big fan of all of these guys, and I'm a big fan of horrorcore and ICP, and I mean the whole juggalo. I'm not a juggalo necessarily, obviously, but I
Yeah.
mean, I'm everything. That's the whole point of Renaissance Man. I've been an ICP fan my whole life. So it's not like I'm not into this stuff. It's just but I have my degree in music history, so you can't just say
Oh.
I'm a juggalo. Like I
Well,
literally like listen to
where'd you
classical
get your
music.
degree at in music history?
UCLA. Yeah, I went there
Nice,
and
man. That's dope, bro. Like you went to
yeah,
UCLA, man. Like you know what I'm saying? That sounds
yeah.
like an amazing experience.
Oh yeah, it was, dude. I mean, like I had way too much fun. It took me 6 years to get a 4 year credential. I also switched after the third year. I was a psychology major, and then I realized like, why not just go for it and just study music history? And they started us with the first song written on a cave wall, thousands of years ago. And the last class I took was a Tupac history of Tupac class, and everything in between, basically. So it's like I knew I was a musician. I came to LA to be a musician,
Okay.
try to get big, just like everybody else. I'm still not big, obviously, but I
Man,
knew
keep
getting a
going. Like, just keep going, man. And like, you don't necessarily need an audience, like, and stuff and everything to like reach your goals and be successful. You
Yeah,
know,
and I knew hearing all that music, James Brown, Stevie Wonder, some of the best things I heard along the way. I knew that would help me, and I think it shows in my music. You know what I mean?
definitely where you from originally.
Fresno, which is about 3 hours up,
Okay, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Fresno, man, like and stuff and everything. That's cool, man.
and I
Uh
spent a lot of time in the Bay. Like my dad and I, we had Oakland A's like
okay.
weekend season tickets, meaning we went to all the weekend Oakland A's games, and we were catching Warriors games, and at Jack London Square and San Francisco, and so I have more Bay in me in a sense. Up until I came to UCLA, I was more of a Bay Area. I was listening to Andre Nicotina, Mac
Yeah.
Dre, Too Short. I mean, then I came to LA, and of course, I already knew Ice Cube and all that stuff, and then I kept on. But it's like it's a mixture of the Bay and LA and Fresno for me. You know what I mean?
Man, like I love the Bay, man. I spent a lot of time in like Petaluma, and like I
Nice, nice,
heard you like a lot of like Bay Area artists have shown me love, like Filthy Rich,
nice.
Mozzie and stuff and everything. Like man, like what's next for you? Like it's 2024, beginning of the year.
Yeah, no, I've been working on this poppy stuff, like the internet love song kind of stuff. I have one more song like that. I'm calling it Rennie, which is like my different side of me. The next stuff I have is so I've been writing songs for a long time, and kind of me being a technophobe was one thing that held me back from recording myself. And also, I had a band before, and kind of like the two of the guys dropped out. I didn't have a drummer or a bass player anymore, and so I started to do it on my own. But it took me a long time to come to this point. So I have tons of songs in the backlog. I got a metal album about to come out. More metal, more hardcore punk, like more distorted, obviously. Distortion's on all the time. And it's some really good shit, some really fucking good metal type songs. You know, one of the songs is called Bacon, which is a part of two songs I already have out, Fried on the Sidewalk by the Sun, and there's another song called Eggs. So in the end, there's a quadrilogy called Bacon and Eggs, Fried on the Sidewalk by the Sun. Bacon and Eggs come out on the next EP, and then the whole quadrilogy's out there. I mean, I'm telling you, I've been fucking around for years, and it's finally happening right now. So after that, I'm coming back to beats so I can do horrorcore and rap for my fans that like the first two EPs. Then I have an emo punk album, you know, EP to come out after that with some crazy songs about girls a little bit. Good, more like Rennie, but just more specifically songs about girls. And then after that, I may not call it albums anymore. I may just drop single songs, whatever I want to do, a hip hop song, a rap song, a rock song. Yeah, I got it all mapped out, man. It's crazy.
Definitely, man. Renaissance Manson, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you, man. So let's do this. I appreciate it. Let's keep in
Definitely.
touch.
For sure.